welcome to downtown St. Louis. It is an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball. It's a gorgeous night for anything, and we're glad you're with us on Fox Sports Net as this is Game 2 of this 4-game series, the Montreal Expos and the St. Louis Cardinals. And welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck along with Al Roboski. I mean, everywhere you go on the street these days, Al, everybody I know wants to talk to you about what the Cardinals are doing. They want to talk to me about it. They've got this city alive and thinking about this Cardinal team. And I know as a group, this team is feeling pretty good about themselves.
Well, they really are. And I really think that, as I was talking with Mike Easler, he talked about what they're doing right now is not only to win the game tonight, but it's prepare themselves for postseason play. And this club is very, very confident. It's really getting to and meshing well together. And these victories are hard fought, but they take the attitude that we're going to take the field tonight and we're going to win tonight.
Sometimes those hard-fought victories end up counting for a little more than just your run-of-the-mill garden variety win. Tony La Russa, what a job he's done guiding this Cardinal team to the top of the National League Central Division on our Pizza Hut division standings. A 9-game lead over Cincinnati. And I think it goes without saying, as you look at the magic number being 17, the remaining games more at home than on the road. The Reds will be here, the only team that's above 500, and they're right around the 500 mark. At some point, can we all just say, look, the division is pretty much sewn up, and now you start thinking about games like they just had over the weekend, 3 big wins against a team that had owned them this season. The Mets, a team that they're very likely to see in the postseason.
Yeah, it's you know, everyone was concerned about that, and Tony told his players, and I'm going to tell you right now, you don't worry about who you play in postseason because you throw all those personal matchups out the window. But winning 3 against the Mets, you know, taking 3 out of 4 against Atlanta, that proved to the Cardinal team that they can beat anybody that they match up against in postseason.
And now the thing is, the Cardinals could very well end up with the best record in the National League. You take a look at the way these guys have been celebrating after ball games during this homestand, seemingly every game. You look at our Casino Queen leaderboard and you find the Cardinals with 79 wins, only 3 fewer than the White Sox, but the other teams in the National League only 1 win fewer than those 2 teams, San Francisco and Atlanta. And it's a very distinct possibility that the Cardinals could end up with home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, remember going back there, 25 games left, only 3 against a team with a record over 500. I know the Mets and Braves play 6 games against each other. The Giants and Arizona have to be matched up, so the Cardinals very likely could have the best record in the National League, and that means something this year.
Well, we'll turn our focus to tonight's game and take a look at Britt Reams. He'll be looking for his first Major League win. He takes on the Expos. We keep talking after this break on Fox Sports Net. Inside the ballpark, fans getting ready. Looks like it'll be another nice-sized crowd here tonight. After Labor Day yesterday, back here at Busch Stadium, Joe Buck and Al Roboski with you. A fun day for sports fans in the city of St. Louis yesterday. The Cardinals took care of Montreal. The Rams, as you all know by now, beat Denver on the Monday Night Football game. And we take a look at the pitching matchup for tonight's game, and you take a look at a couple of young right-handers. Our Chrysler and Jeep pitching matchup featuring Britt Reams for the Cardinals. He doesn't have a win yet, Al, but that last start he made down in Florida, very impressive.
Well, he keeps on getting a little bit better, and he's opposed by a guy that's bounced around the last couple of years, been in the bullpen for the Montreal Expos and making his 4th start of the year.
Joe Santana against Reams. Britt gets ready to go. Cardinals and Expos coming up next. Welcome back, and away we go. First pitch of the evening. Tails low and away for ball 1 to Milton Bradley. 1 ball, no strikes on Bradley, hitting .227. The Cardinals took the field awfully early tonight, so we'll give you the lineup in a moment. You know Bradley's first up, and he's up on the count here 2-0. Milton Bradley stands in with an average of .227, a home run, 13 RBIs. And the 2-0 pitch from Reams is low, 3-0. That's not the way Britt wanted to start on a 77-degree night here at Busch Stadium. Humidity is gone. What a day. 3-0 pitch to Bradley is a strike. 3 balls and a strike.
Maybe it's something about this Busch Stadium mound. Remember, he made his Major League debut here. 4 innings, walked 6. On the road, he's been better and better.
He hits the outside corner there. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and really outwalks is never something that's bothered him in his professional career.
Right, that was something that was very unusual. But look at the last outing. He went 4 the first time, 5, and then the last outing against Marlins 6.
Bradley gets into one to center, but it should hang up, and it will for Edmonds. Reams does well to come back from a 3-0 count to get Milton Bradley in the Southwest Airlines starting lineup for Montreal. You know Milton Bradley, then it's Peter Bergeron in left field. Then it's Tracy at first base. Vladimir Guerrero, he checked it in yesterday's game. He went absolutely bonkers on a strike 3 at the plate. Then Jose Vidro at second. Jeff Blum is at third. Lando Cabrera is at short. Michael Barrett does the catching. And it's Santana pitching and batting ninth. There's more on Reams.
He's gotten stronger each start. 4, 5, 6 innings. Must spot that fastball. And he's got that pretty good little breaking ball. He's got a changeup too. And you'd like to keep him focused so he can just concentrate on what his task at hand is.
1 ball, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on, and there's a fastball for a strike. This guy must be sneaky fast because we see some odd swings, awkward swings against him.
I think that's a very accurate description. He's so small that people don't think he can throw this hard.
Breaking ball in for a strike, and it's 1-2. By the way, Reams is working with Marrero tonight for the first time. It's good to see Eli back there behind the plate. 1-2 to Bergeron, who can really run. Will Clark, 2 out. Well, you know who's at first base as we go around the horn. Will Clark is at first. Over at second base, it's Polanco. Vina gets the day. Then at third base, it's Tatis who's trying to round back into shape. Hope he can get some good at-bats under his belt down the stretch. Renteria is at short, out in left field. The same can be said for Langford. We just said about Tatis. Edmonds in center, and over in right field, J.D. Drew. What a good right fielder he's becoming. And Eli Marrero catching Britt Reams. 2 out, nobody on for Andy Tracy. And a ball low from Reams.
Britt Reams. Talked about the first 3 starts. He lost the first game, then a pair of no decisions, but 4, 5, and then 6 innings of pitching for him in his 3 starts.
Bender in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Tracy hitting .250. They play tonight without Lee Stevens. The 1-1 pitch, a swing and a miss, and Reams keeping the ball down here in the first inning, 1-2. See if Reams can have a perfect first. 2-2.
Pretty good test for Britt, facing a lot of these Expo guys that are really kind of AAA plus players.
What they used to call them 4A players.
4A.
2-2 pitch. Tracy took ball 3.
Really an accurate description of a 4A player is a guy that's not it's too good for AAA, but not good enough for the big leagues. But I mean, well, how I meant it in reference is that these guys are young guys that are split time between the big leagues and AAA this year.
Good first inning for Britt Reams. He goes through Tracy and the Expos 1-2-3. A half inning, no score in St. Louis. No score after half inning. A crisp start for Britt Reams. And now the Cardinal lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They lead it off with Placido Polanco at second base. J.D. Drew batting second and right. Jim Edmonds hitting third and center. Will Clark cleans up. Look at those numbers in his last 11 games. He's 7 out of 7 against this Montreal right-hander. Tatis, Langford, Renteria, Marrero catching, and Britt Reams pitching and batting ninth. Here is Julio Santana.
He's got a very good fastball, but he has an exceptional slider, so it's important for him to stay ahead in the count so he can throw that slider. He's been working out of the bullpen. This is his 26th appearance, but only his 4th start of the year. He was released from Boston earlier in the year and signed by Montreal. He had previously been with Texas and Tampa Bay.
Take you around the horn after Polanco does something here. Placido will lead it off. His average at .329. He had the heroics on Sunday with a pinch hit 3-run home run. And he has had about as good a year as any utility player that we see on any team. And a ball low from Santana. Probably means more for the Mets than it does for the Reds at this point. A 2-0 lead as the Mets try to break a 4-game losing streak.
How about after one? It's 2-1 Atlanta over Arizona. Randy Johnson with Tom Glavine, and they've already scored 3 runs in 1 inning.
Top 2 winners in this league, and Glavine, who has 1 more win than Johnson, gives up 1 in the top of the first, and then Johnson gives up 2 in the bottom of the first at Atlanta. A ball and a strike on Polanco, and another strike. It's 1-2 from Santana. You just can't say enough about this guy, Al, and you and I sing his praises night after night. It doesn't matter where he plays defensively, and he always seems to come up with a big hit.
You know, like prime example, Sunday, you knew that him out there at plate with runners at first and third, he's going to put the ball in play.
He does here, and it's played by the first baseman, Tracy, for the out. Let's go around the horn. Andy Tracy is at first base. Just made the first put out of the night for the Expos. Then it's Vidro at second, one of the best in the business. Jeff Blum is over at third. The shortstop is Orlando Cabrera. Out in the outfield from left to right, Peter Bergeron is in left. Center, it's Milton Bradley. And over in right, Vladimir Guerrero. 1 out, nobody on, and the ball sinks low and away, received by Michael Barrett, and it was out of the hand of the right-hander Julio Santana. 0-4 and an ERA over 4.5. Drew out in front, a ball and a strike.
Say he has a slider that looks a lot like a forkball, and occasionally a changeup.
Here's a 1-1 to Drew with 1 out, nobody on, and it's in the dirt. You know, you always hear about sophomore jinx. I think J.D. Drew, with all the hype surrounding his signing with the Cardinals and him not signing with Philadelphia, had more of a freshman jinx. And his sophomore year has been very good, and he seems to get better week by week.
Very true.
The 2-1 pitch. 3-1.
And you notice now he's almost an everyday player.
And I like him in the number 2 spot. This is a much better lineup with him batting second and Renteria down toward the bottom of the order.
Both of them seem to have prospered.
3 balls and a strike. And a 1-out walk. Good work by Drew as he laid off that off-speed delivery, and that puts a man on with Edmonds coming up. Boy, Tony La Russa, Al, could not have been more glowing in his words and the quote attributed to him about Felipe Alou. He calls Felipe the best manager in this league.
Said if everyone had the same talent, Felipe, managing all that talent, would win more games than any other manager in the National League. There's the manager. Most wins of an active manager is Tony La Russa's credentials.
1 on, 1 out, and Edmonds takes the ball low. Well, I think it's really going to be interesting at the end of the year. You see Alou on your left, who's bringing more kids along here. And there's some rumors that he might be out at the end of the year up in Montreal with their new owner, taking more control of that franchise in what they hope will be an eventual move. It seems like he hopes will be an eventual move out of Montreal into the East Coast here in the United States. And then there's La Russa. He's got his team on cruise control right now, doing some fun things during this homestand after another good road trip. And it's going to be interesting, Al, to see how he uses Mark McGwire when he has his bat available to him, and where he picks his spots down the stretch or in the playoffs to throw that bat up at the plate.
Box, National League home runs. Edmonds 5th on that list. He's 38.
Runner Drew goes. A chance for Barrett, who makes a terrible throw, and Drew is safe. Barrett, we've seen him, Al, at third. We've seen him behind the plate. Seen him at third. We've seen him behind the plate. We've seen him at third. We see him behind the plate, and he's having a tough time throwing.
Yes, he is, and it's really surprising. He's also having a tough time hitting. But just a bad throw here, and Cabrera does a nice job to keep it from going in center field. I made a prediction the other day that J.D. Drew's going to end up leading this ball club in steals. That's his 15th. Renteria still leads with 19, but JD has been stealing on a more frequent basis.
2 balls and a strike on Edmonds, and he could put the Cards on top with a hit. Hitting .301 now. Oh, just missed. 3-1.
Very interesting. We've had a complete umpiring crew change since yesterday.
The other guys were here for the first 4 games of the homestand, the weekend series against the Mets, and then yesterday. And I guess they got a rate on Labor Day flights.
Or maybe Vladimir didn't like the crew that was here.
3 balls, 2 strikes, and a big rip by Edmonds. And now we've got Mark Carlson behind the plate. Doug Eddings at first, Tim Timmons at second, and Dana DeMuth at third. And unless these guys watched the highlights last night, they don't know what Vladimir Guerrero did to the home plate umpire in yesterday's game. 3 balls, 2 strikes, runner at second, 1 out. Edmonds is driven in 92, and he takes a walk on a pitch that's just low. Back-to-back walks here in the first inning. And even though Santana hasn't been around very long, he is about to face a nemesis, Will Clark.
I pointed out to you, Will Clark is 7 for 7, a double, a home run, and 3 RBIs when he faced this pitcher. Not bad.
Well, can he keep that pace? And if he does, he would put the Cardinals on top here, it would seem, with Drew at second, Edmonds at first, and 1 out. No score in the first. And a strike.
Joe, you know how sometimes you ask a hitter, you say, boy, you have a good success against this guy. You know, where does he throw you? And you go, I do? I'll guarantee you, Will Clark knows that he is 7 for 7 off this pitch.
Absolutely. Will Clark is a big fan of Santana's. He wants to make sure he stays in the big leagues. Pretty good fastball. 97 on the radar gun, at least here at the park. 1 ball, 1 strike on Will Clark. That thing jumped up there in a hurry.
How do people release a guy with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball and supposed to be a devastating slider?
I don't know. Sometimes you hear scouting reports on guys, and then you look at their track record and you think, wait, something's not right here. Oh, that just missed, and this pitcher is not getting anything from Mark Carlson. Sometimes you wonder how a guy has been released as many times as he has, or the guy we saw, Chuck Smith, down in Florida. How in the world at the age of 30 are people just now becoming aware of him with the way he throws the ball?
Yesterday he struck out 11. I was really impressed with him.
The 2-1 to Clark is in the dirt, and the runners will advance to second and third. So a wild pitch thrown in, and a 3-ball, 1-strike count on Will Clark.
Well, you look at this replay, and then you can appreciate Mike Matheny and Eli Marrero, the way they blocked the ball. Will Clark signaling to his base runners, go on. We'll move up 90 feet. You have to feel pretty comfortable with a 3-1 count that Will's either going to walk or he's going to get a sacrifice fly at the very least.
Got a feeling a bullet's coming here from Will Clark. Second and third with 1 out, 3 balls and a strike. No score in the first inning. And a base hit. He's 8 for 8 against Santana. 2-run score. Will Clark will hold it first, and the Cards are up 2-0 in the first.
How pretty was that? You know, we talked with Mike Shannon and I in the pregame show about clutch hitting and just how a hitter goes up there very relaxed, lets the pitcher come to him because he's in trouble. And there's the happiest guy around, isn't it?
Somebody stop him.
I mean, it's Santa Claus, mechanical Santa Claus. Look how pretty. Just that flick of the wrist in sync as you see Will reach first. JD touches the plate, picks up the bat for Edmonds to come around. You see that swing right there by Tatis? It just seems like every time he's swinging, his upper body's kind of like falling backwards, and he's reaching out and pulling off of every pitch.
He has had a real struggle down to 269. Santana can't get anything called a strike. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
See Barrett turn around, and it's like he's talking to the umpire, and I agree with you. I thought a few pitches to Edmonds were very, very close.
So a 1-1 count on Fernando. 1-2. Mid-90s fastball from Santana.
See, now watch how he swings here, Joe. You know, he kind of steps in, but it seems like the upper body just pulls off of everything, and they try to reach. And Mike Easler said for the first time, he said something today. He says, all I want to do is hit 2 balls hard. He thought that was an improvement.
2 balls, 2 strikes here on Tatis.
And I think part of it is a young player, just signed a nice lucrative contract, try to earn that money, and you miss 54 games with injury, and all of a sudden your numbers aren't where you want them to be, so you try to do things more than you're capable of doing.
2-2, and he pops it into left field. That'll play for Bergeron. 2 gone. Just got under it. Back to first is Clark with 2 out.
Well, Clark at first base. See him go halfway, and then he'll tag up just in case if the right opportunity presents itself. And what he was trying to do there is see if that left fielder was a little nonchalant. If he was too casual, he was going to go ahead and try and tag up and get in scoring position.
Well, his presence on this team has been immediately felt, and it's been far-reaching as Langford takes the ball in the dirt. This time Barrett does a good job with it. I mean, it doesn't matter, and I said this yesterday on the radio side, if you're a rookie, if you're a veteran, if you're a coach, if you're a manager, if you're a general manager, if you're a broadcaster, if you're a guy selling popcorn, if he sees something he doesn't like, he'll let you know about it. And it's in a funny way. It's in the right way, but he always sends his message, and he is heard loud and clear in that dugout and in that clubhouse.
First flight, when he joined the ball club in Montreal, we returned back to St. Louis. He was holding court back of the plane like he'd been with the team for 10, 15 years.
Bottom part of this order has really picked it up. The last 11 games, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters just prior to the pitcher. 367 average, 25 RBIs, and the Cardinals, I think not coincidentally, are 9-2 in those 11 games. Matheny's been a big part of that. Renteria's been a big part of that.
Pitching coach comes out here and talks to him, Brad Arnsberg. Remember, he was the bullpen coach, and they fired Bobby Cuellar and Luis Pujols. And many believe that was a sign from the owner sending a message to Felipe Alou. Some people even thought it was maybe even to try and make Felipe mad. Maybe he would quit. He does have a $2 million contract for next year.
Tough to quit on that.
Tough to quit on that.
You don't want me here, go ahead and fire me, but you're not going to make me quit.
You fire him, you got to pay him, and I'm not too sure the new owner wants to do that either.
2 balls, no strikes. Now 3-0 on Langford with Renteria next. Well, it seems a foregone conclusion that there will be baseball in October here at this ballpark. And over this final month, the Cardinals will be gearing for that as Langford gears up for a 3-0 pitch and takes a strike. So many things to be determined down the stretch. Article today, part of the article talked about Ankiel and the way he's been pitching lately. 3 balls and a strike, and now a full count. You know, it has seemed a foregone conclusion, to use that phrase twice in a matter of 20 seconds, that Ankiel is going to head to the bullpen, but it depends on who you're matched up against in a playoff series. That if he matches up well against a certain team, or the way he has pitched the last 3 starts, you might think about putting him in your rotation.
I guess against San Francisco or Arizona.
Langford walks. Cards have 2 hits, make it 1 hit, 3 walks, 2 runs, and have a chance for more. Have you checked out the new issue of Cardinals Game Day magazine featuring Will Clark on the cover? Among all the great stories inside, you'll also find a pull-out wall poster of Mark McGwire. Neat article in there on the ballpark down in Memphis. Give the magazine a call at 314-982-7336 to sign up for a subscription. 982-7336. 2 on, 2 out for Renteria. Strike one from Santana.
Renteria, career high in home runs and RBIs.
He has a chance to add to that RBI category as he takes ball one low. So this bottom of the first is everything the top of the first wasn't. Britt Reams ran into 3-0 on the leadoff hitter Bradley, and then came back to get Bradley and rolled right through Bergeron and Tracy. Two balls and a strike from Santana. And I mean to tell you, this home plate umpire has given him nothing.
Barrett's turning around, talking again, trying to plead his case, trying to help out this pitcher. And he's walked 3 here in the first frame.
He's behind on the count to Renteria. Ought to get something to rip here. He does. Into right field, another hit. Guerrero's thinking about throwing out Will Clark. The throw to the plate is too late. The collision, another run's going to score as Clark gets out of the way. And it's 4-0 Cardinals here in the first inning. More RBIs for Renteria, who now has 68.
So how can you give an error on Vladimir Guerrero? It'd be his 9th error, but you talk about a shotgun arm. I mean, this is a case where you talk about a team error, because watch him come up. Here's the base hit. Watch him come up and fire home. Now you tell me there's something wrong with that throw?
That's in the category of we have to give the error to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, and here you got contact. It's tough play for the catcher, and then the ball goes into the stands. But I mean, just one more terrific throw. We talked about a 5-tool player, and Guerrero is one.
0-1 the count on Marrero. I said 68 RBIs for Renteria. Give him 67. The other run scoring on the error, and now Marrero pops it foul out of play. Strike 2. The Cardinals have a 4-run lead for Britt Reams here in the first inning, and a chance with a hit for another.
Mike Easler is very anxious to see Eli swing the bat. He's worked with him an awful lot of late and feels very comfortable. And Mike Easler has never once ever had one negative thing to say about Eli. He is just one of his biggest supporters.
The 0-2. And easy into right for Guerrero. That'll do it for the Cardinals in the first inning, but they come up with 4 runs on 2 hits, thanks in large part to 3 walks and an error. Will Clark, a collision at the plate, another run scored, and it's 4-0 St. Louis. Well, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? 4-0 Cardinals after an inning. Britt Reams back to the hill. And our Hyundai Kia matchup features these two, Reams and Vladimir Guerrero. Career 545 games for Vladimir. I mean, just fantastic numbers for the young right fielder for the Expos. And Britt Reams on the other side. Only 57 batters faced in the big leagues. 15 hits, 8 runs, 14 strikeouts, 12 walks. And if you looked at his outing his last time out, you would see a guy who got a no decision. If you watched that game, you saw the breaks that went against him, and you saw how he pitched out of trouble. Some of the pitches he made in tight spots. Came away very impressed with the young Cardinal right-hander.
Got a no decision in that game. He got one in his second start.
Guerrero pops it up into shallow right. JD comes on to make the catch. 1 away.
JD, at times we've been a little bit critical of him for not taking charge in the outfield, and this time he called off an infielder. It's a much more difficult play. You see Polanco trying to backfill. He's almost camped underneath it, but with good communication, Polanco vacated the area, and then simpler play for J.D. coming in.
Now Vidro. .333 hitter takes the ball up and away.
You see him yelling and taking charge right there. That infielder, he will back up until he's called off by an outfielder.
Good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike from Reams to Vidro.
And don't kid yourself. Reams is having to face some pretty good hitters, and Guerrero, Vidro right here, and then Blum's having a pretty good year. Here are 2 all-stars back-to-back.
Fastball fouled away by Vidro, who hit 3rd yesterday. And the guy who's number 2 on the hits list in the National League behind Help, who now, by the way, is under .390, is in the hole at 1 and 2.
Vidro set a record for home runs and RBIs, franchise record for a second baseman.
Well, they certainly didn't rush him either. The last couple of years prior to this year, he was a utility player, and he had a tough time cracking the lineup.
How about this year? They almost didn't make the team because of Mickey Morandini.
Oh, it's Mickey Morandini.
Yeah, but where's Mickey now?
I know, I'm kidding. Mickey's with Toronto.
Yeah, he got traded to Philadelphia and then on to Toronto.
Here's a 3-2 pitch to Vidro and another foul. Can't beat the kind of day we've had here weather-wise. It was nice yesterday. It is beautiful and even cool here at times today with a breeze blowing through. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and Vidro's in a battle with Britt Reams. Reams is only 5'11", 175. I saw Tommy Hutton when we were down in Florida, former infielder and a guy who is the television analyst for the Marlins. He said it's good to see a guy that's under 6 feet tall being considered a pitching prospect. Those little guys, I like them.
Well, it was almost the only time you'd see, and he's not even 5'11", Joe. He's closer to 5'9" than he is 11. But I mean, someone of that size, they had to be only left-handed for them to give him a shot. It was the same thing with Chuck Smith. I know somebody labeled Chuck Smith, he's too small.
But how about Pedro Martinez?
Pedro Martinez, 5'9", 160 ringing wet. He can pitch, can he?
He won another one last night. He's got 16 wins. And people are starting to talk MVP again for him.
They always want to sign somebody 6'3" or above, and a lot of those guys are very mechanical and prone to injury.
Vidro pops it up. That battle's won by Reams. Now who's going to catch it? Renteria, 2 out. Got it to 3 and 2 and kept throwing strikes. Vidro's gone, and now with 2 out, nobody on, in walks Jeff Blum. Montreal, and this is just off the top of my head, something I really haven't thought about much, but they've always had some guys that are good talents, talented young players, but they've all come up and have all been in a position where they really don't have a defensive spot. I mean, Blum has moved around. Now he's at 3rd base. Michael Barrett was the hot prospect du jour last year, and he was the 3rd baseman of the future. Now he's the catcher of the future because they dumped the old catcher of the future, Chris Widger. And they've had other guys, Vidro we talked about. They didn't know if he fit in. They grow this talent, but they really don't put them in a spot in the minor leagues where a guy comes up and he knows where he's going to play when he gets to the big league.
Yeah, good point.
Off the end of the bat into center, and the first 6 have gone in order against Reams as Blum flies to Edmonds after an inning and a half. Reams will lead it off for the Cards, 4-0 St. Louis. Cardinal fans, on Saturday, September 16th, the Cards play the Cubs at Southwest Airlines Destination Day. All fans can register to win one of 16 pair of airline tickets to any Southwest Airlines destination. Winners will be picked between innings throughout the game, courtesy of Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the St. Louis Cardinals. Saturday, September 16, Cards and the Cubs. Bottom of the second, Britt Reams first up, took a ball, and now offers it one and pops it up. Vidro waits for it. And there's one out here in the second. Well, Cardinal fans, here's your opportunity for your family to be the family of the game. The Southwest Airlines family of the game. It's easy. Send in a postcard, and you're entered to win. One lucky family will be selected at random from the entries received. Be the Southwest Airlines family of the game. Log on for low fares. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of e-freedom. And there's the address. P.O. Box 771192. 63177.
Somebody broke a window.
There's a sketchy looking throw. A ball a little high to Polanco.
That was our Whitaker Holmes booth out there. And it's supposed to signify you're breaking a window with Mark McGwire's 70th home, 62nd home run.
I saw Tom Williamson tucked into the crowd back there.
Oh, really? Oh, man, we could tell some stories on him, couldn't we?
He knows where his bread's buttered.
You better be careful.
Here's a line drive, base hit into right by Polanco. He's on with one out here in the second. You know, one on, one out for Drew.
You know, Joe, sometimes we get these letters and people send it to the ballpark, and we don't get the letters until a couple days later.
Or seasons.
Yeah. There you see the birthday. And there you see the home run. Or see the base hit by Polanco. But I got a nice letter from Wilma Bryson, and she wanted to wish a happy 91st birthday to Tilly Rinsick. You know, it was August 29th, but we just got the letter today, so we're sorry about that, but happy birthday, Tilly.
Is that a Hungarian name? HR, wasn't it? If I can read over your shoulder.
No, it was actually W-R-I-N-C-I-K.
Can't read that
but
far.
Pronounced Rinsick.
Drew is swinging a miss. Strike two. 0-2 on JD, who walked, stole a base, and scored a run back in the first.
But every now and then you get a letter on time.
And it's through very little fault of the Cardinals. We're just in and out so often that by the time the mail reaches us, it's days after it was meant to get to us. No balls, two strikes, a runner at first, one out. And Drew fights one off. See if Drew can ride one out of here. He's hit 17 home runs this season. The 0-2 from Santana. Spoils another pitch.
See, that's what JD's been able to do now. He recognizes that off-speed pitch or that changeup or breaking ball that's he was prone to swinging through. He either lays off it now or he just gets a piece of it.
Here's an 0-2. One ball, two strikes. If you look back at last year, Drew hit 242 in only 104 games. Injury and a couple of stints in the minor leagues. He played 25 games at AAA. Cut that number down. He had 13 home runs. Out in front there. He drove in only 39 runs. So he has blown away those figures in just his second full season in the big leagues. And I say second full season. Even last year wasn't a full season. But I think he's seen the end of AAA.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he still is getting by just on his huge talent. And it would be a few years before he really settles in and becomes a player they think.
Another pitch that's popped into right foul as Drew's just up there in that battle mode. One ball, two strikes. And I said it on Saturday's game that you start to see even better fundamentals from J.D. Drew. In Saturday's game against Mike Hampton in the ninth inning, he led off. He nearly hit a game-winning home run. Then hit a ball into right where the left fielder had to go to his left. He took two on him. Turned a single into a double, and he scored the winning run when Pena knocked him home with two out.
You're not going to see J.D. at his best until he finds that other gear, and he did it on Saturday. There's a gear, there's that overdrive that he hasn't reached on a daily basis.
See what he does with another 1-2 pitch from Julio Santana. Whoa, almost got away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This season has been a steady diet of off-speed pitches, and Drew has had to find the fastballs mixed in. Now the 2-2 from Santana. Full count, 3-2. Edmonds next.
But Joe, that's it. When you watch these guys, these young pitchers, they cannot throw 3 off-speed pitches for strikes. So you're going to get a fastball. Just make sure it's a strike also.
Runner goes. 3-2 pitch is hit in the air to center field. Back is Bradley. 2 out. Back to first is Polanco.
Well, you know what? We talked about getting letters that are on time. How about happy birthday to Don Lucy II? And this was, I want you to tell it, this is from his son, Donnie. He's almost 5 years old. Says, please tell him he's the greatest dad in the world, and I love him very much, especially when we go for airplane rides, motorcycle rides, and rides on his race car. And Donnie can really type, too. But then also got another one. And this was happy birthday for Don Lucy. He's having his birthday on September 5th. Happy birthday from his sister and Donna, friend, and his sister Donna and friend Maggie. So Don Lucy, just one of our great crew here, and they are absolutely the best. A lot of those guys did double dipping. They did the Cardinal game yesterday and then the Rams game, and that's only because they're the best, and Don Lucy is the best TD, technical director in the business. And he flies his own plane and apparently a motorcycle and race car.
That's great. Happy birthday, Don. A neat note from his son. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 on, 2 out. 4-0 Cardinals in the second, and Santana deals with Polanco running. The throw by Barrett. They're just going to keep running on him for the next 2 days after tonight as Polanco goes to third, and a stolen base and an error on Barrett.
So that is the 14th error for Barrett, and that could have been averted with a little better effort from the shortstop. Polanco steals his 4th base, and that's his 2nd one in a couple days. And watch this throw. I mean, the shortstop could have gotten in there, could have come up in front of the bag, knocked it down, kept it from going into center field, and that would have kept Polanco going to third.
But he's over at third with 2 out and a 2 ball, 1 strike count on Edmonds, trying to add to a 4-0 lead. Jim has driven in 92. Ball 3. There is action, by the way, for the Expos out in their bullpen. Felipe Lira is getting ready. It was his turn in the rotation that came up, and they bumped him in favor of Santana, and Lira is getting ready in the second. The 3-1 is hooked foul. Full count. Edmonds will tell you he's been swinging at everything. Much more patient earlier in the year. The strikeouts are still there. Not as many walks. 3-2 pitch. Chase ball 4 there on high heat. Edmonds is gone, and so are the Cardinals in the second. No runs ahead. A stolen base and error, 1 left. Cards have left 2, and after 2 lead the Expos by 4.
Coming up immediately after the game, as you see, the Cardinals lead 4-0. It's the National Sports Report. Bobby Labonte interview. Overbearing tennis fathers, and Randy Johnson versus Tommy Glavine. As still Atlanta 2-1 over the Diamondbacks. That's immediately following the game. Britt Reams was retired all 6 men he's faced. Fell behind a couple guys early, but came back to get him. This is Orlando Cabrera. He had separated his shoulder earlier in the season. Good looking little shortstop. 9 home runs, 40 RBIs, 246 average. And Britt Reams has fallen behind 2-0. Pitch, fastball off the plate, 3-0. Reams has been able to come back and throw strikes when he's needed to.
As he does here to make it 3-1. 3 balls and a strike with Barrett and Santana to follow. The action stops out in the Montreal bullpen, so they'll let the pitcher bat here. 3-1. 3-2. Cabrera trying to work the home plate umpire Mark Carlson for a leadoff walk. Kind of stands on the mound like Andy Bennett stands on the mound now, or at least on the rubber, kind of side saddle. Pointed toward the third base line and works it home on 3-2. Still 3-2.
Britt was the darling of the Cardinals minor league organization in '96. Where he was the minor league pitcher of the year. He was 15-7 with an ERA of 1.90 at Class A Peoria. Then he had the Tommy John surgery and missed all of '97 and '98.
So he battles back, Al, and he gets the pop-up off the bat of Cabrera and into the glove of Drew, 1 away. You don't like to run it to 3-0 on a couple of hitters, but at least Reams has been able to bring it back into the strike zone after that. 1 out. The batter's the number 8 hitter, Michael Barrett. I think they're shocked. And you touched on it. We touched on it last half inning. They are shocked at how poor a season Michael Barrett has had this year.
Yeah, he's been hitting well in his last 8 of 9 games, .414. Got sent down to AAA because he hit so poorly, and he hit .358 there. But you cannot say that this has been a good offensive year for him. .223, 1 home run, 20 RBIs, and that's who Britt is facing now, Michael Barrett.
1 ball, 1 strike. 1 home run, 20 RBIs for the season. 242 at bats. He's a better hitter than that. That's one thing you know when the Cardinals and Expos get together. There is no lack of knowledge on either side because they share the spring training complex in Jupiter. Because there's so few teams that train in that area, the Cardinals end up playing the Expos seemingly all spring. 2 balls and a strike now, 3-1 as Reams falls behind again. Sooner or later they'll get burned doing that, but Reams to this point has been able to come back and make the outs.
Well, the one thing, since he's been here, you should notice the Cardinals defense. Last 7 games they have been error-free, so let these guys hit the ball and let your defense do their job.
And he comes back to get Barrett off the hands, and Barrett on 3-1 flies to Drew. 2 up, 2 down in the third. Most of the outs have been through the air.
It's 3 fly balls to JD. Remember yesterday in the 9th inning, he recorded all 3 putouts. So JD in the last couple days has done a lot of work.
I'll tell you what, I'd said it, and I don't know that I've run it past you. I say it a lot on radio that he has really turned into a very good right fielder because of his range. He's still going to make the occasional mistake. He's still learning. But as far as going and getting the ball in the alley or coming to his left down the line, he is as good as we see, and he's in that Jordan category of when he was in right. He knew if anything was in his reach, even at the outer limits of his reach, he was going to catch it. Drew is about there, at least in my book.
Well, you know what? He's a center fielder. You know, and so he has that great speed and range, and it's not surprising. The only thing, I think the biggest thing is he's a little very cautious about any kind of collision, and that's why the voice communication is important.
Goodbye Santana, and hello to perfect 3 innings for Britt Reams. Bottom of the 3rd, Clark Tatis Langford coming up 4-zip St. Louis. Bottom of the 3rd inning, a 4-0 Cardinal lead. Clark Tatis Langford coming up, so the big bats will bat. Coming up tonight, the 11 p.m. Regional Sports Report. 30 minutes of nightly sports news completely dedicated to the home teams throughout the Midwest. What will they talk about tonight? And the Cardinals have the best record in the National League. That's becoming more and more of a possibility. How far without DeMarco? Out for about a month. And the Rams offense with a big showing last night. What about the defense? That's tonight, 11 p.m. the Regional Sports Report. The Midwest edition. Here's Will Clark. Drove home 2 back in the 1st inning. He's hitting only .376. 21 RBIs. You look at his production. Clark is playing in just his 30th game as a Cardinal. A 1-0 from Santana. He can't get a strike call. It's 2-0.
Wild pitch sent him to 2nd and 3rd, and then just look at that. Lob serve over the head of the 3rd baseman. 2 runners come across. The first 2 runs of the game. Will later scored on a base hit by Renteria.
Down and into Clark. It's 3-0.
And once again, he's 8 for 8 against this pitcher is Will Clark.
Tatis will follow. 4 straight. Clark sprints down to 1st.
4th walk allowed by Santana.
With Will at 1st and nobody out, in walks Tatis. And Fernando introduces himself to Mark Carlson. Nothing contentious there, just talking it over while the catcher Barrett went out to talk to Santana. Action again for the Expos out in their bullpen. All over this last month, said it before, we'll say it again. The Cardinals have to get Tatis going. Langford as well as the pitch is down and into Fernando. Johnson getting loose for the Expos out in their bullpen.
Felipe Lera's thrown too many pitches.
2-0. Yeah, it's interesting that get a guy up in the 2nd inning, but the 3rd inning, let's go to a different guy. Lera was warming up last frame. Big numbers for Tatis in his history against the Expos. Popped up on the infield for Vidro. Wynn plays with it a little bit. 1 out. This Chinook State and Cardinal history is a big date in the history of Mark McGwire. Saturday afternoon, and this against Dennis Reyes, home run number 60. It was the first home run he had hit in his career against Cincinnati. And you know what he would do 3 nights later. Number 62. September 8th. 1 on, 1 out. Langford now pops it into left center field. Well hit. Back is Bergeron at the wall. Goodbye. Home run for Langford, number 21. And the Cardinals lead it 6-0 in the 3rd.
Still think, Joe, not only Tatis, but we need to get Ray Langford going. It's his 21st home run of the year. He's the all-time home run leader at Busch Stadium with 109. And another opposite field shot. Ball's down. That's in his wheelhouse. But he went down and got that ball. And I think he thought he got enough of it. And yes, he did. Into the bullpen.
.391 feet away, and now Renteria, who drove in 3 of the 4 runs yesterday in the win, stands in.
That ball down and stayed on it. Drove it. Ray Langford is going to be real key. Tatis and Langford, they can salvage their seasons by, and it's not so much for Tatis because of his long injury, but Ray what people are going to remember in this last month. How they're going to determine his season.
And to me, Tatis is maybe in some respects more important than Langford. And the only reason why I say that is because he's a right-handed power presence in this lineup, which is really left-handed dominant. From Drew to Edmonds to Clark. Talk about Langford, Vini at the top of the order. It's a real left-handed hitting lineup when you don't have McGuire. So that's why Tatis becomes even more of a story, and if you can get him in there to bust up some of those left-handers in the lineup back to back to back, all the better.
Sure.
Still 2-2 on Edgar, who has 3 hits and 5 at-bats in this series. Yesterday put the Cardinals on top for good with a 2-out, 3-run triple. Here it is on 2-2, and Edgar checked to swing. Full count. Cardinals tomorrow. We'll have Garrett Stevenson, a 15-game winner, take on Dustin Hermanson, and then Darryl Kyle, a 16-game winner, taking on the left-hander Trey Moore, who has 1 win this season. That came against the Cardinals. 3-2. Off the end of the bat into center, and that'll hang up for Bradley. Milton puts it away, 2 out. Here's Eli Marrero. Slide to right his first time.
Eli, for the ligaments in his thumb, sliding headfirst into second base.
That's out of play for strike 1.
There's only 1 for 15 in his rehab, but been working hard with a lot of tee time, a lot of batting practice, a lot of different techniques with Mike Easler.
Back to Santana, and that'll do it for the Cardinals in the 3rd. They get a leadoff walk, a 1-out, 2-run blast from Ray Langford. Replenishing his fluids in the dugout after his 21st home run of the year. It's 6-0 Cardinals. Did you know that this portion of Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Jack in the Box? 2 million antenna balls can't be wrong. And by your local Chrysler and Jeep dealer. It is the 4th inning. It is a 6-0 Cardinal lead, and it's the top of the order for the Expos against young Britt Reams, who has been perfect through the first 3 innings. Thursday, 12:10 business person special, Cardinals in Montreal. And the first 25,000 fans, 16 and over with a paid admission, receive a specially designed Cardinal mouse pad. Compliments of the Bank of America. As Bradley taps it foul, strike 1. That's this Thursday, Cards and Expos mouse pad day. Times have changed. Mouse pad day. How old were you when you got your first mouse pad, Al? Can you remember that far back? Here's the 0-1 up high, 1-1.
No.
Do you have your first mouse pad, Al?
Yeah.
A 1-1 to Bradley. He is tapped foul again, strike 2.
What would you think of someone who collects mouse pad? Mouse
pad?
What would you think about something like that?
Depends on the individual.
There he is.
My dad?
No, Jim Jackson.
He collects mouse pads.
Yeah. Aren't you scared to work with him, man?
I'm going to have to ask him about that. I'm not sure I believe that.
Information, useless information from the truck.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Hard hit. Wow, what a play by Edgar. Stays with it, throws him out. And that's 10 straight retired here at the start by Britt Reams.
Yeah, Joe, teaches you to have good hands. You get a hard hit ball like that, you don't have time to play it to the side, so you better use your hands and know how to make an adjustment. Keep your glove low, and if it takes a little higher hop, it's easier to bring it up.
So somebody to Edgar's left, probably Polanco, say, nice play.
Glad it was that you.
Yeah. I had fun watching that. One out, nobody on, and Bergeron takes the ball low. Peter hitting .238, first time up, bounced over to Will Clark. Said it before that he puts pressure on the infield because of that great speed. Here's some pressure for you. Clark feeds Reams, who wins the race. 2 out. Aflac. Our Aflac trivia. Today's Cardinal trivia brought to you by Aflac. Whose major league record did John Vanderwall break in 1995 for most pinch hits in a season?
I know the answer.
I bet you don't.
I bet I do.
Give me the initials of the guy.
J.M.
You know the answer. And I only know the answer because it was written on the sheet that I just read the question from. There's a ball inside to Andy Tracy. Britt Reams right out of the gate has retired the first 11. 2-0. Told you about that Arizona-Atlanta game. They're now 2-2 in the 5th inning. Top half Arizona batting. Randy Johnson against Tommy Glavine. That's low. It's 3-0. Another 3-0 count. He's been able to come back from this count 3 times already in this game. Here it is with 2 out, nobody on. Strike 1. There's that score. They're in the 8th inning now. So the manually operated scoreboard is, that's ball 4. So there's the first base runner of the night. And it's a 2-out walk. Tracy is on. That 8th inning score was the Mets and Reds. 2-2. So board is a little bit behind in that case as well. The Mets are losers of 4 straight. If you get online and read all the articles about the Mets today, they're all talking about the big September choke. They've played poorly the last 2 Septembers, and this team's doing it again. Vladimir Guerrero takes a strike.
You know, Joe, I had to explain to some people that they were saying that apparently some of the New York writers were complaining about the heat over the weekend. And they were saying, well, the heat, and they lost 3. And I said, well, some of those writers root for the team to lose just so they can rip all the more.
I saw one who I'm friendly with up there, and I'll not say his name, but I said, well, what do you think Atlanta's going to do tonight? He said, I don't know. They're going to lose. I said, oh, don't tell me that.
See, those are the guys that cover the club. They want to see their team do poorly so they can have more juicy material.
The 0-2 pitch is pop foul. That just proves that when you win, everything is giggles and happiness. And winning really takes a lot of that other stuff out of the spotlight. When you lose and people start wondering why you're losing and pointing the finger at the other guy across the clubhouse, and guys don't get along, it becomes a big problem. 0-2. When you're winning, nobody cares about that stuff. It doesn't even get talked about.
Well, there are some cities that like to stir up all those, clubhouse cliques. But I think the Cardinal fans just want to see every player presented in the most positive fashion. They only want to know the good stuff. They don't want the yellow journalism.
Here comes an 0-2 to Vladimir from Britt Reams, and had him chasing again. Yeah, I don't think, and I think it holds true for broadcasting as well. I don't think people that follow the Cardinals necessarily want to read all that junk. And I think up in New York, they're so accustomed to seeing it, the competition between newspapers, the competition between broadcast networks and radio and television, and the sports talk. Sports talk is so different up in the Northeast anyway than it is here in St. Louis. 0-2 pitch, a high delivery, and Polanco will make the play at first to end the inning. Boy, he hits them wherever they're pitched, and Reams has yet to give up a hit. Bottom of the 4th, 6-0 Cardinals. Our Aflac trivia question: whose major league record did John Vander Wal break in '95 for most pinch hits in a season? Jose Morales, 25 with the '76 Expos. Vander Wal had 28. That's the answer to the Aflac trivia question. This game gets to the bottom of the 4th inning and another pitcher.
Now remember, I knew Jose Morales because we played against him.
So you were well aware.
Mike Johnson, appearing for the 34th time, 5 wins, 6 losses, ERA over 6, 87 plus innings, more hits than innings pitched. Not a very good strikeout to walk ratio at all.
Jose Morales as opposed to Jerry Morales, who played for the Cardinals, right?
Right. More time with the Cubs.
Britt Reams will lead it off here in the 4th inning. Santana goes 3 innings, allowed 6 runs, 5 of which were earned on 4 hits. He walked 4, struck out only 1, and allowed a home run to Langford. What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light, the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light. We'll bring you the game tomorrow night, game 3 of this 4-game set. And then all 3 at Milwaukee over the weekend. Fox Sports Net on Friday, WB11 Saturday and Sunday. Britt Reams comes up empty. He is 0 for 5 in the big leagues. Strike 2 on Reams.
This pitcher made 11 starts this year for the Expos.
Reams is gone. 3 pitches. And a strikeout. 1 out in the bottom of the 4th inning. And back to the top of the order, Polanco. Got a neat note from a teacher. And I was reading the note today and discarded the other piece of information. The teacher of Dustin Rosbarski. Dustin Rosbarski sent me a copy of the poem that Dustin wrote about baseball, and it's fantastic. Dustin's a 6th grader. And I promise you this, 6th grader, I say that off the top of my head. That's testing my memory of what I read earlier. This poem is better than anything I could come up with at the age of 31. Breaking ball's a strike, and now the next is fouled out of play off to the right. Strike 2, 0-2. So Dustin Rosbarski ought to be very proud of the poem.
Obviously his teacher was.
Yeah, it was neat to get that letter and I think she was letting me know, and somebody in this position, that this game of baseball is still special to so many young kids. A breaking ball. Where in the world is that pitch? Ball 1, 1 and 2. Johnson started to walk away. Mark Carlson has been awfully stingy with these Expos pitchers.
Yeah, Joe, it's just that high pitch that used to be called, and now it's not.
Off the plate to the shortstop. Cabrera has it, throws it. Polanco hustling all the way, but he grounds out 6-3. Time for the Fan Fest Legend of the Game. Winners in our Fan Fest sweepstakes win Cardinals gift certificates, autographed baseballs, and tickets to the TV broadcast booth for the October 1st season finale. Tonight's Fan Fest Legend of the Game, Gussie Busch. To enter our random drawing, visit foxsports.com/Midwest before 10 a.m. tomorrow. Click on August A. Busch, and you could win. Good luck. That would be August A. Busch Jr. 1 ball, 1 strike. J.D. Drew trying to reach base for the 2nd time tonight. Walked in the 1st. He, along with Edmonds, scored on a 2-run hit by Will Clark. Should end the inning. Vidro comes on, and that'll do it. First, you need a bat and a ball. Without them, you can't play at all. Of course, you need all the bases and a glove with woven laces. Dustin Rosbarski, thanks for the poem. This is Major Major League Baseball, and lately very good Major League Baseball for the Cardinals. You're watching Fox Sports Midwest. Did I just have a flashback? We don't call it that anymore. Guests of Cardinal Baseball receive a gift certificate to Chevy's Fresh Mex. Stop by one of the 7 locations where the food's made fresh every day. We still call it Midwest when we log on for our Legends of the Game now, don't we? It's the Midwest edition of the Regional Sports Report now, isn't it? But it's just Fox Sports now. Reams with a count 2-0 on Vidro. Blum and Cabrera will follow. 6-0 Cardinals. 3-0.
He can get to 3-0 pretty good.
Very good at that. I could get to 3-0 very well. But I would not be able to come back and throw a strike. Neither can Reams in this case. And the leadoff walk is the second walk issued by Britt here tonight. What's the pitch count? 68.
68. Remember his first game, he was at 100 pitches in 4 innings, but he walked 6 in that ball game. Then he goes to Atlanta. He pitched 5 innings, and he was in line for the victory, and the bullpen gave it up. And then his last start in Florida, he went 6 innings. Pitched very well.
Here's Blum. Jeff had 2 hits yesterday, 2 out of 5 in the series. He takes a ball. No hits on the board yet for Montreal. We're in the 5th. 2 more innings and we'll start talking about it. Or we'll start to not talk about it. A 1-0. Ball and a strike. Talking about no hits for the Expos. 77 degrees at the start, and I'm sure it's lower than that as we play here in the middle innings. Beautiful night, a nice breeze through the park. A good game for the Cardinal fans. Another big crowd as that's way up, spin away. 2-1.
Breaking ball kind of got loose from him. You know, Joe, an evening like this, as a pitcher, you stay invigorated throughout the outing and really don't get fatigued.
Second Busch Stadium start for Reams, and he gets a fastball by Blum. It's 2-2. First order of business for Britt next year is to get a new number. Unless he wants to be like Anfield and keep it like he's a pulling guard. There is a pop-up to Polanco. 1 away.
Jam shot. Couldn't get it far enough over the head of Polanco. Raced back, made the play. Ron and Gene say hi to Marge in Centralia, Illinois. It's good Cardinal country. So Donna Gaetti here the other day.
Really?
And she talked about that Gary was coming up from New Orleans sometime early in this week. I don't know. I hadn't seen him at the game.
I think Gary's oldest son, Joe, is playing at LSU.
They're now living in New Orleans.
That's back toward the Camel X box. 0-1. Orlando Cabrera is hitting .245. He is hitless in this series. The 0-1 from Britt Reams. Breaking ball stays high. 1-1. There are the numbers for Cabrera. 9 home runs, 40 RBIs. Reams trying to pitch around a leadoff walk. Marrero doesn't get down on it. Down to second is Vidro, and a 2-ball 1-strike count on Cabrera.
How rare is that a ball get by a Cardinal catcher? Popped up a little too soon. He didn't drop that glove down, didn't smother it. But that is just, I mean, our catchers are so fundamentally sound, whether it's Mike or Eli, they just never allow a ball to get by him.
2 balls and a strike. pop up into center. Edmonds coming on, 2 out. Well, let's look it up. Something I hadn't really thought of before now, the wild pitch category. Cardinal
Don't
catchers.
look at Ankiel.
I mean, as a group, they've had 42 wild pitches, and the catching tandem of Matheny and Marrero have been good at saving wild pitches. Carlos Hernandez in the mix as well. That's about middle of the pack. Let's see who has the fewest. Surprise, Atlanta, only 21.
Look at Cincinnati.
85. Wow. They lead by a mile. Here's Michael Barrett. He takes a strike over the inside corner. Barrett is hitting .222, a home run, 20 RBIs. A walk, a wild pitch, a runner at second with 2 out. And that drops low. A ball and a strike from Reams to Barrett. Cardinals come into this game 4th in the league in fielding percentage. They've committed the 4th fewest errors in the league, behind Colorado, the Giants, and the Cubs. A 1-1 to Barrett. Good pitch, strike 2. At some point here soon, people are going to realize, if you look at these statistics, the Giants are #1 in the league in pitching. San Francisco is. They're #2 in the league in hitting, #2 in fielding, and they are starting to really put some distance between themselves and the rest of the NL West. Shortstop Renteria. Barrett rounds out 6-3, and that's 5 innings without allowing a hit for Britt Reams. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Edmonds, Clark, Tatis coming up. Cards up 6-0. Six to nothing, the Cardinals lead, bottom of the 5th inning. Coming up immediately after the game, the National Sports Report featuring news, opinions, and highlights from a fresh perspective. Tonight after the game, an interview with Bobby Labonte. Overbearing tennis fathers, Randy Johnson against Tom Glavine, and Atlanta leads in that game. 5-2, bottom of the 6th inning now.
Randy Johnson's had his problems in the last month or so.
3-3 since the All-Star break. And the Arizona Diamondbacks come into the day 5.5 games out in the NL West. Closer in the wild card as Edmonds takes a strike. They're 4 out. Last report we have of Cincinnati and the Mets is they're tied 2-2 late. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Jim Edmonds leading off the 5th. Mike Johnson makes him get out of the way. 2-1.
Fastball thrown right at the feet of Edmonds. Goes the knees out. Goes to the ground. He's got a very tender knee as it is.
Here's a 2-1. Here it comes on 3-1. Edmonds is thinking about home run number 39. Instead, he fouls it away. 3-2.
Has 38 home runs, 37 of them as a center fielder. That's a new Cardinals record. And they're still 2-2, and they're in the bottom of the 9th.
On 3-2, Edmonds hits it down the right field line. Guerrero to his left. Boy, he had him played awfully deep. These Expo outfielders play deep as a group, about as deep as anybody we see. Cardinal fans, on Tuesday, September 19th, the Cards play the Astros. It's GM Parts, GM Goodwrench Player Action Mug Night. First 25,000 fans, 16 and over with a paid admission, receive a specially designed mug featuring Darryl Kyle. Tuesday, September 19, Cards and the Astros.
So you can make a a case either way, whether you want Cincinnati to win, get the Cardinals closer to the best record in the National League, or do you want to wrap up the Central that much quicker?
I think it's time to start rooting for Cincinnati. That's my personal opinion.
Because you know we're going to win the Central.
Absolutely. Clark takes ball 2, 2-0.
With that case being the same, rooting for Arizona.
In a way, yeah. Why not?
A lot of red there for a guy that's hitting so well. 376 for the Cardinals. That would stand to reason.
8 homers, 21 RBIs. Tatis next with 1 out. Way out in front, 2-2.
Really like a lot of hitters, guess hitting, but his swing comes with a pretty educated guess. On occasion, you'll fool him.
Hit down the line, but foul. Well, Will Clark is making himself a lot of money here in the last 2 months with the Cardinals. He may not re-sign with the Cardinals. I'm sure he'd love to. They've got the guy on your right locked up there, and Will Clark, who was on a poor team in Baltimore, was not really thought of as having much left. Well, that's certainly not the case now. It's obvious he does have some left as he hits a comebacker to Johnson, 2 away. And heading into his free agent year, he is without a contract next season. He is doing himself and his family a big favor here down the stretch.
His stock has gone up in this since coming to the Redbirds.
In-game box score, not a ton of hits, only 4. Polanco has 1 of them. That didn't even factor into the scoring. Clark drove home 2 runs with a hit. Langford has a home run, which was good for 2 runs. It was a home run. This is a pop-up by Tatis. His in-game box score is 0 for 3. That'll do it for the Cards in the 5th. Britt Reams back to the hill. 6th inning. 6-0 Cardinals. Beautiful night in downtown St. Louis. We're going to have a pinch hitter here to start the 6th inning. Terry Jones. He bats for Mike Johnson, who went 2 scoreless innings. And the Expos will need a new hurler when they take the field. The bottom of the 6th, it'll be Anthony Telford. Here's the first to Jones. Ball 1 from Reams. The 9 on the right sleeve of the Montreal Expos is a tribute to Maurice Rocket Richard. 1 ball, 1 strike. No doubt a hockey town. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Here's the 2-1, 3-1.
So, you know, people may be surprised, but there was a time in the early 80s that the Montreal Expos led the National League in attendance. It was about 2.3 million, and now they have a dwindling fan base.
3rd walk of the night handed out by Reams. As you look at Richard's number on the sleeve of these Expos, one would have to wonder if and when Rusty Staub or some other Expo dies, if the Canadiens will wear their number on their jerseys.
I don't think that would happen.
You don't think so?
No.
This is in honor of Le Grand Orange.
I don't think. Don't hold your breath. Not even for Felipe will they do that.
What do you mean? The Expos, they play in our city? Bradley takes the ball up and away.
Not sure if they've retired anybody other than Jackie Robinson.
They've retired Staub. They've retired Dawson.
Oh, well, they should have, but I mean, they have, huh? Where do they put them?
They're out on the wall out there.
Oh, so far out there, I can't see that far.
I promise you, they're there.
They should be. And Jackie Robinson did play in Montreal when it was a AAA affiliate for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Chasing a pitch is Bradley. It's 1-2. I'd look up the retired numbers in their media guide, but don't have time to go through the translation. Kind of slows you down.
Yes, it does.
1 on, nobody out, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And it's still 1-2 on Bradley.
No English radio or television for the Montreal Expos.
I think they're on the internet.
They are on the internet. Dave Van Horn, our good friend, is surviving on the internet. We do have French radio and TV.
Every half inning has to say, "You have mail." Got him on the outside corner. Bradley is gone, 1 away. You got him, mail.
Good strikeout for Britt Reams. Did he call that on the swing, or it's awfully wide?
I can't answer that question.
It's awfully wide, but we'd like it.
So 1 on, 1 out, and here's Peter Bergeron.
He's from Massachusetts, residing in St. Petersburg, Florida now.
Who's that, Bergeron?
Bergeron. Sounds like he should be north of the border. Mike Johnson, who just finished pitching for the Expos, is Canadian. He's from Edmonton.
1 ball, no strikes on Bergeron. Getting closer here. You pay attention to the game, and I'm going to look at the retired numbers.
John Bacabella.
Brockabrella?
Bacabella.
Here's a pitch outside. Bacabella.
He was a catcher that they used to have fun with his name, Jim Bouchon. The announcers up there for Jim Beecham.
They make non-Canadians have the French pronunciation of their name.
Yes.
2 balls, no strikes, 1 on, 1 out. 2-1. How'd they do with your name?
I think they got it right.
I can't find this. There's no way. Everything has to be written twice.
Maybe Singleton.
I don't think so.
Not Foley.
2-2.
Oh, you know what?
Bobby Winkles. What?
Steve Rogers.
That's right.
Steve Rogers down in Oklahoma, probably listening right now. He was a great pitcher for them. Maybe Reardon. Mike Marshall.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 1 out. And we'll do it again. They do have retired numbers, though, I promise you. So 1 on, 1 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Britt Reams has yet to allow a base knock.
I know who else. Gary Carter.
Here's a 2-2. Bergeron checked his swing, or did he? Yes, he did. 3-2. Game pretty close.
Looked like a pretty good pitch. Tim Raines?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
3-2 the count. Do they start the runner? There he goes. That's Jones on ball 4. 2 walks in the inning. 4 on the night for Reams, and those are the only men to reach base against Britt, as Stechschulte gets loose for the Cardinals out in the bullpen.
I have a pitching coach mad. There's you see Stechschulte.
So while he warms up and Reams takes a moment, we'll remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Dave Duncan runs out to talk to Reams. Whatever the first thing out of his mouth was made Reams smile. 98 pitches so far tonight.
Well, the one thing is you don't want to take somebody out in the middle of an inning with a no-hitter going. You'd love to see him get through this 6th inning, and then his pitch count probably is going to be high enough to where you say, hey, great job, get your first major league win. But you don't want to give these Expos a chance to get back into this game. And you're starting to get to a point in their order where they could put up some crooked numbers.
So 2 on, 1 out. We've got Tracy now with danger lurking on deck. Vladimir Guerrero and then Vidro. And Reams can't control these pitches as they keep fading out of the strike zone. 1 ball, no strikes. Tracy, strike 1. A toe problem for Lee Stevens. He had to be removed during the game yesterday, so he is not in the lineup. Instead, it's Andy Tracy, and he bats with 2 on, 1 out. 6-0 Cardinals in the 6th inning, and Tracy takes ball 2. One of the other considerations is this is a pitcher in Reams who has had that Tommy John procedure done to his arm. He's over 100 pitches now on the night. They're not going to let him go too much farther, I would think, no hitter or not.
Right. But ideally, you'd like to get him through this 6th with the no-hitter intact and a shutout.
Well, that'll help. Into center, Edmonds puts it away. 2 on, 2 out. And the batter will be Guerrero. This crowd is certainly starting to think along those lines. And they will be let down if Reams, because of a pitch count, doesn't get the chance to finish it here tonight. But we are a long way from the finish line as Reams is at 102.
He's trying to atone for the blowout of the Citadel yesterday, or over the weekend.
Is this another Citadel product?
Yes, it is. Mr. Reams.
Second the Cardinals have had in recent memory. Tim Jones another. 2 on, 2 out. Guerrero, strike 1.
He was signed by Jim Baines. You remember Jim Baines?
Absolutely.
Sure.
I only remember Jim Baines. I remember his entire family, including son Mickey, who for a while was
umpiring.
2 on, 2 out, and ball 1 to Guerrero.
Saw Mickey with his dad in Atlanta.
It's a great family. Good people. See if Reams can finish off this 6th inning with Vladimir Guerrero up. That's foul. Strike 2. Last time up, Vladimir Guerrero took a pitch that was at least letter high and grounded out to the right side.
He's been sitting on 99 RBIs, trying to become the first Expos to have 3 consecutive 100 RBI seasons.
That's a base hit. Down the line, there's the 100 RBI plateau. The ball hangs up. 2 runs are going to score. Both Jones and Bergeron are in. It's a 2-run double. It's a 6-2 game. And this crowd applauds the effort of Britt Reams, who gives up his first hit of the night here in the 6th inning.
Now, the problem with Guerrero is this guy has phenomenal plate coverage. It's a breaking ball, looking to reach for it and pulls it just inside the bag. You see how far off the plate Tatis was down into the corner. 2 runs scored, the 2 men that walked here in the 6th inning. So he's allowed 1 run or 1 hit, and that's it.
So not too surprising. Double switch. Reams is gone. Would imagine Tatis is as well. He made the final out in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Stechschulte will come on and pitch. Tatis is gone. Paquette will play 3rd. Stechschulte's coming on to pitch, and Britt Reams will head out of here, hoping that the bullpen can hang on to the lead and help provide him with his first major league win. Got to make a kid feel good. 6-2 Cardinals in the 6th inning. Stechschulte will be on to pitch.
Cardinals are leading Montreal 6-2. They are still batting the Expos with a man on second base and 2 outs in the 6th inning. Britt Reams went 5 2/3, only allowed 1 hit, but it produced the 2 runs after he walked his 3rd and 4th man of the game. So 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. He is responsible for Guerrero out at second base, who drove in the 2 runs, now has 101 RBIs. The call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lowe's. Call Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, improving home improvement. Stechschulte, who has been up and down from the minor leagues 5 different times. The last time he was leading the Pacific Coast League with 26 saves. And then when they sent him down to Double-A just so he could be recalled sooner, because Memphis is in the playoffs. And Stechschulte made a couple appearances, or had 2 shutout innings for the Travs out in Arkansas. First pitch to Vidro was ball 1, Joe.
And now the next is ball 2, 2-0.
Steve Stechschulte come in and get a little wild and have a little trouble harnessing his pitches, but this kid's got a great arm.
2 balls, no strikes. Runner at second, 2 out. Vidro took a strike. I don't think you could be anything but impressed when you see the pitching stuff of Stechschulte. You're right, he has had a difficult time period to period at controlling that stuff, but he's got major league pitches. There's no doubt about that. 3 balls and a strike now on Vidro.
And big league hitters like Vidro, second in the National League with 175 hits. When you fall behind the count to them, they can make you pay.
Runner at second, 2 out, and that's ball 4 to put 2 on with 2 out. Not a good start for Stechschulte, and Jeff Blum will bat. And all of a sudden, the Expos are only 1 base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate.
And that's, you know, in that effort to try and get through 6, keep the no-hitter intact, all of a sudden things get a little dicey.
Blum now hitting .293, 8 home runs. Time call. I know you talked about trying to play a game out there on the mound of your Stechschulte, and you're used to closing games. Make this the 9th inning in your mind.
Well, especially when you're still trying to get your feet wet at the major league level.
Good pitch. Strike 1 on Blum.
But great training for these kids that come up in Memphis now with their new facility there. It's almost major league quality, so but the hitters are a little better here.
Ball and a strike on Blum. So the Cardinals in the past couple of days have had Ankiel, number 66. Tonight, number 68 gave way to number 67. Good news for New York fans. Good news for Montreal fans. If it's fair, it's out of here. It is gone. 3-run home run, and it's 6-5 here in the 6th inning. So a walk and a home run, and it's a 1-run Cardinal lead.
His 9th home run overall, but only his 4th while batting left-handed for Blum. One more run charged against Reams. And Steckschulte, he just throws that pitch right there in his wheelhouse. Turned on it. And all of a sudden that 6-0 lead is 6-5.
Britt Reams' reaction to that.
You don't want to react too much, but
here's strike 2.
You can't, because I mean, you do your job, you're out of the inning. And his win, he had one taken away from him in Atlanta by a failure of the bullpen.
To the left side, Paquette fresh into the game, makes the play, and the inning is over. A 384-foot home run makes this a 1-run game. Cards up by 1, getting ready to bat in the 6th. Bottom of the 6th inning now, 6-5 Cardinals. Coming up tonight, the 11 p.m. Regional Sports Report. 30 minutes of nightly sports news completely dedicated to the home teams throughout the Midwest. So for extended regional highlights and in-depth interviews, catch the 11 p.m. Regional Sports Report Midwest edition. And the Cards have the best record in the National League. They'll talk about DeMarco Farr. He'll be out for about a month. Rams offense is terrific. The defense, a question mark last night on a Monday night against Denver. And a number of defensive changes, just guys switching positions all around. But the main insertion into this lineup is Fernando Seganol. He's now playing first and batting 9th. And pitching and batting in the number 7 spot, vacated by the shortstop Cabrera, is Anthony Telford.
Telford, a real workhorse here, appearing in his 62nd ball game. ERA under 4, 3 saves, 5-4 record, and he's allowed only 2 runs in his last 17 1/3 innings since August 1st, covering 15 appearances.
Andy Tracy moves from first base over to third, and Jeff Blum was playing third, goes to short. Talk about how these guys are somewhat interchangeable defensively. That helps Felipe Alou. And here's Ray Langford to lead it off in the 6th inning. Goes without saying that they need that. Into right field is second of the night. Number 22, and it's 7-5 in the 6th.
2-run home run night for Ray Langford. His first one gave the Cardinals a 6-0 lead. Now this gives them 2 more. So pair of home runs, 22 on the season, 3 RBIs, giving him 58. First pitch from Telford, and Ray jumped all over it. 15th career multi-home run game for Langford.
Renteria, first pitch swing, and pops it up first base side. Seganol out of his reach. Strike 1.
Thing happened so quickly. Telford, who is a guy that Cardinals have had some interest in the past because of his durability and usually throws strikes. Well, you wish he had that strike back.
Strike 1 a long way as Renteria dumps one into left field to hit. He's on with nobody out, with Marrero coming up, and then Paquette.
Boy, isn't this nice to see, though, Joe? You know, you give them 5 runs, and then you say, oh, it's no big deal. We just have to go back on offense. Come on.
363-foot home run on The ball hit by Langford, and then Renteria gets one running in on him and dumps it into the outfield.
Just really muscled it into left.
Here's another throw to first, and Edgar gets back, as Al mentioned earlier, the team leader in the stolen base department with 19. Drew is 4 behind him with 15. JD has 1 tonight. Ball 1 on Eli, showing bunt. They've got the defense moving all over the place as Marrero showed bunt on the first pitch from Telford.
Feeling he will be swinging away. I'd like to see if Renteria can get a jump. Go ahead and let him steal himself.
Got a total of 12 runs on a total of 8 hits. Montreal just got 5 runs on 2 hits. The big one, the 3-run homer by Blum in the top of the 6th inning.
Walks have played a huge part of the scoring
on each side. Jabbing at it, 1 ball, 1 strike. And Marrero wants to talk to Oquendo.
I have a feeling he missed a sign.
Oquendo called time and said, whoa, let's talk about this for a second. After Marrero bunted 1 foul, 1 ball, 1 strike. Renteria at first with nobody out, a run home. Cards up by 2. And Telford has become frozen. Somebody help him. Oh, he can move.
Well, part of that is the psychology or mindset of a pitcher. Still not sure if he's the sacrifice on, or is he going to swing away, so you try to hold the ball a little bit. Either the runner or the hitter will give it away.
A 1-1. Bunted in the air. Back to Telford. 1 out. That's not very good. And it's Paquette, runner at first, 1 away.
Watch that right here. He pulls it back, and then he tried to stab at it. But that is a good pitch from a pitcher. Many times guys just allow the guy to put a bunt down by throwing the ball down. But if you throw the ball up, it'll produce the pop-up.
Little comebacker like a bunt. Good play by Barrett. Had to deal with a spin on that ball, and he gets Paquette. Put out 2-3, and it's a runner at second, 2 away for Polanco.
Talking about a nice play by the young catcher, and you're right. Swinging bunt, but you get a lot of spin. And he reaches out and grabs it. Looked to second base, but knew he had to get at least an out, so he threw to first.
So we'll see if Polanco can get a 2-out hit. There might be other guys that you'd want at the plate in this situation on this Cardinal team, but Polanco would be right near the top of my list. Hitting .330, takes a breaking ball low.
Joey usually puts the ball in play. He's not, he's not going to try and pull the ball. He's going to try and hit it where it's pitched. Hitting .339 with runners in scoring position.
To the left side, backhanded stab by Blum, and his throw is good. Very good arm by Blum, and the inning is over. But the Cardinals get a run back. Ray Langford, first pitch at the bottom of the 6th inning, his second of the night, 22nd of the year, and the Cardinals lead 7-5. This is Fox Sports Net, and you're watching the Cardinals. Ray Langford's had a night. Rays walked, hit a pair of home runs, and that last one gave the Cardinals a 7-5 lead thanks to that rip. One into left center, and this one down the right field line. Came in talking about some of the clutch hits. That won't win a game in the 9th inning like Edmonds or Vigna, or Edmonds again, but you mentioned it. It's nice to give up 5 and see your lead dwindle from 6 to 1 and rip the first pitch out of the park to give yourselves a little more breathing room. The Mets get a big win at Cincinnati. That's a big one. That's a strike on Michael Barrett. They can. You know they're going to gain ground somewhere, the Mets. They're either going to gain ground in the NL East as they come into play today. They're a game out there, or they're going to gain ground in the wild card. As Arizona and Atlanta are playing, and at least on the scoreboard here in the 8th inning, it's 5-2 Atlanta. 1 ball, 1 strike. So if that stays with Atlanta out in front, the Mets will still be a game back in the NL East, but they'll be 5 up in the wild card. A 1-1 pitch. Ground ball to short. Edgar. Mark McGwire pin night. Brought to you by Southwestern Bell, the official telecommunications company of the Cardinals. September 20th, Cards and Astros at 7:10. And that pin for the first 30,000 fans of the paid admission.
Joe Tony told me one of the ways that he envisioned using Mark as a pinch hitter would be like in a tie game in the 8th or 9th inning, let him lead off the inning. If they wanted to walk him, he'd use a pinch runner. And if they wanted to pitch to him, he'd say thank you.
Makes sense.
Sure.
That's the kind of stuff, though, that Tony goes to bed thinking about.
I know.
And wakes up thinking about. Sanganol hits one into left center field. That ball's gone. A home run for Fernando. And it's a 1-run game. His second of this series. He's 2 out of 3. Steck-Schulte's had a rough time, and the Cardinal lead is 7-6.
Well, he jumped on one into right field yesterday, and here he hits one into the bullpen. His 8th home run, but this guy has serious power. Fastball is down and away, and he just drives it into the bullpen and into the glove of, is that Steve Kline?
I'm going to guess he's left-handed and he's loosening up.
And it's a close ball game. He leads the major leagues in appearances.
Steck-Schulte misses. Ball 1 to Bradley as the Cardinals get Christensen loose in their bullpen. One ball, no strikes. 2-0. One, 90 miles an hour from Steck-Schulte, and he got it past Bradley, who is 0 for 3.
You see left-handers, Christensen, who's been pitching very well of late.
Strike 2, 2-2.
Duncan talking Marty Meyer down in the bullpen. It's Marty Mason.
Marty Meyer was distance on that fall.
Yeah. Marty Meyer, the former Cardinals scouting director, now with the Dodgers. Right there's Marty Mason, who's been with the minor leagues with the Cardinals a long time. Has done a very good job having another pitching coach down in the bullpen.
That's really worked out well. 2-2 to Bradley is popped up. The wind will throw that thing around, and Renteria goes out to get it. Has to dance at the end because of the wind. 2 out. Wise, a left-hander, getting ready for the Expos in their bullpen. It is a sure thing that Kline will come in and pitch, with Drew, Edmonds, and Clark coming up for the Cards. The bottom of the 7th. Two out. Here's Peter Bergeron. And Marrero out to talk. That can mean one thing and one thing only. Stall time. Catchers will tell you they hate this part of the job when it's obvious to the entire world that they've been told by the dugout to go out and talk. And
yeah, I think you could get him out, but they don't think you can get him out. So,
right.
You know,
I don't know why they're sending me out here, but don't kill the messenger.
But here's the reason why, is because now Christensen has told the dugout that he's ready.
So Schulte is gone. They're not going to use Christensen for any long stretch of time anyways. The pitcher spot is due up 4th in the bottom of this 7th. The rough outing for Schulte. And he will exit stage right, and Christensen will come on and deal with Bergeron. Pitching changes, lineup changes. Top of the 7th, 7-6, St. Louis. This is the Lowe's Call to the Bullpen, brought to you by Lowe's. Call Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, improving home improvement.
See the numbers for Christensen. A lot of that was earlier with the Pirates, and he got off to a rough start for the Cardinals, but you know, he has 17 holds for the season. Give you an idea. I mean, that is more than any reliever on our staff. There's 47 for the team. He has 17. He's unscored upon in his last 8 games, including 3 this homestand.
I have to believe they found something, because he is keeping the ball down. He's throwing the ball with good jump on it.
You know what? He told me that Marty Mason had a big part to do with it. Dave Duncan talking to him and trying to make things a little more positive. And he's got a great arm, Joe, and we recognized that when we saw him pitch for the Pirates.
Nobody on, 2 down. Bergeron takes a strike.
He earlier could get ahead in the count real quick, but then he would make a bad pitch, and now he's finishing off hitters.
The Cardinals haven't won a game on this homestand by more than 2 runs. So it only figured that a 6-0 Cardinal lead would dwindle, as it did when Montreal came up with 5 runs in the 6th. Then the Cardinals got a run. Now the Expos get a run. 7-6 St. Louis. And that's down the line, slicing foul. Not much of a swing against the lefty Christensen. It's 1-2.
Gene Lamont also told me that he never considered Christensen to be a left-handed specialist, because he felt he was comfortable in getting out right-handers as well as lefties.
Did he make any spot starts for them?
I do not believe so. I mean, he's had some neck and back troubles in the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, who hasn't? Captain Neck Brace over there says that to Mr. Bad Disc. Jason has never started a game in his career, I'm told, by our production truck. So I'm dreaming again. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Bergeron. 2 out, nobody on. 2-2. On deck is another lefty, Andy Tracy. So a good time for Christensen. And then right-handers, so Timlin is loose.
And that's by design. Tony tries to give him a little bit of a leeway where you have a couple guys to work at.
3-2. Three and 2 on Bergeron. To the left side, a base hit, just stuck the bat out and poked it through the left side, and the tying run is on.
Yeah, Joe,
Yes,
just well placed right there. It wasn't that he hit it extremely hard. He just found a hole.
Britt Reams, pretty good start here tonight, and we see better things from him every time out, it seems.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, he only allowed one hit, but he had the 4 walks, and he put 2 of those walks in the 1 inning, and then the 1 hit by Vladimir Guerrero scored both of them. But he's still in line for this victory.
But he's sweating over on the dugout bench in a cool night here in St. Louis as Christensen takes a look at Bergeron. Bergeron is a guy you have to pay attention to. He's stolen 9. He has been caught 13 times. And a ball to Andy Tracy.
Have you noticed their success ratio of stealing?
It's terrible.
Terrible.
They have 51 steals, but they've been caught 42 times.
How about Matheny yesterday?
How about Matheny all year?
That's right. Got 2 more yesterday, and he's thrown out 49% of runners trying to steal.
I know you want to keep Bergeron close here. It goes without saying that's the tying run. But it's also true, and we see it time and time again, that if you don't get Tracy here, you're going to face Vladimir Guerrero and a chance where he could do major damage. 1 ball, 1 strike from Christensen. So while keeping the runner close, that's great. Get the hitter and get out of the inning.
There's a lot of pitchers that sacrifice velocity and location and everything to the plate when they pay too much attention to that runner on base. You have 2 outs. If you get the hitter out, that guy getting first can't steal, or he can't score even if he does steal.
2-1.
Not that you want to give up any steals, but if you get the hitter out, he can't score.
What can Christensen do on 2-1 to Andy Tracy hitting 246 instead of throw to first?
Yeah, that's one thing, Joe, where the game has changed. And from a personal standpoint, it would have been very frustrating for me to have called step-offs and throws to first, because I just want to attack the hitter.
Good pitch, 2-2. Tracy's hit 7 home runs, in case you're wondering. Runner at first, the tying run, 2 out. Tracy ball 3, 3-2, and now the runner will go. This will be the last hitter for Christensen, good or bad, with Vladimir Guerrero coming up. Timlin is loose in the bullpen. Play behind the runner at first, and a 3-2 pitch. Got him, and the inning is over, and that leaves Guerrero to lead off in the 8th. Cardinals lead by a run, 7-6. Now stay tuned for a sports break from the Fox Sports Network Center. Guys, take it away.
National Sports Report presents this sports break.
What's up, everybody? I'm John Kelly with this sports break for the National Sports Report. Martina Hingis and Venus Williams in action out of the U.S. Open. We'll have all the highlights. Pro Bowl running back Stephen Davis signs a record-breaking deal with the Skins. We'll have all the money details. And Bobby Labonte is coming off a big win this weekend. We'll hear from one of the NASCAR's hottest drivers. All this and more coming up tonight, right here on the National Sports Report.
Everybody's had a nice stretch. It's the bottom of the 7th inning. The Cardinals bat. They lead it 7-6. And yet another new pitcher for the Montreal Expos. That pitcher is a left-hander with a hat from the '76 Olympics. It was left around Montreal's Olympic Stadium. Steve Kline. Why does that hat look so old, you might ask? Well, here's a guy who's appearing for the 74th time this season. Coming up immediately after the game, it's the National Sports Report featuring news, opinions, and highlights from a fresh perspective tonight after the game. An interview with Bobby Lamonti. Overbearing tennis fathers, Randy Johnson versus Tom Glavine. Those two hooking up down in Atlanta. Glavine is getting the better of the big unit to this point. J.D. Drew will lead it off. It'll be Drew, then Edmonds, then Clark against Kline, who is the best, least known left-hander in any bullpen in the league. Does Drew look bad on something off speed? Strike one. That's off the end of the bat. Strike two, 0-2. Outfield playing Drew to pull. Kline pitching Drew away, and he sends Drew away back to the dugout with a 3-pitch strikeout.
Steve Kline, you mentioned it, Joe. This guy has been something else. He has worked more games than any other pitcher in the major leagues. Appeared in 82 games last year.
Edmonds gets knocked down.
They've thrown a couple pitches in towards Jimmy, and then they get him chased late up.
1-1.
They get that average back over 300. Got to get him into the century mark in RBIs.
92 on the year, out in front. One off-speed pitch after another, and it's 1-2 from Kline to Edmonds. The walks to West County and back before this 1-2 pitch. One out, bases empty, and ball two, low and away, 2-2. Like a toboggan heading downhill at Art Hill on a snowy day in St. Louis. This Cardinal train picking up steam as they go. Lead here tonight 7-6 into the bottom of the seventh. 2 out, nobody on. Back-to-back strikeouts of Drew and Edmonds by Kline, and he is making it look easy.
I kind of wondered if Cardinals had made any inquiries of Kline, and they were looking for a left-hander.
Will Clark now. Sean Dunston in the on-deck circle. If the inning gets that far. 2 out, nobody on, and Clark takes a strike. Don't forget the St. Louis Cardinals Game Day Magazine, 982-7336. Man at the plate featured on the cover, and he grounds to first, foul. 0-2. Kline could strike out the side against Drew, Edmonds, and Clark with one more strike. For a while, Kline was closing. For a while, Dustin Hermanson was closing. They had one of the game's best young closers in Uget Urbina go down with chips and spurs in his pitching elbow, and he has undergone surgery 2 times this season. He is lost for the rest of the year. The 0-2. Would not chase it. Ball 1.
You talk about Urbina and Kline. That's a pretty nasty 1-2 punch. Kline was in the Indians organization. Traded to Montreal for Jeff Juden.
Reaching for it. Vidro backs up, makes the stop and the throw. Clark running hard all the way, made it close. The Cards go in order. The big guys coming up in the 8th. This might determine the outcome of the game. 7-6 Cardinals. This portion of Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. It brings freedom to the net. With affordable fares and frequent flights, log on for low fares. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of e-freedom. And by Auto Tire, we'll win you with great prices. We'll keep you with great service. Well, this is going to be a big inning. And for that big inning, Mike Timlin will pitch. He will deal with Guerrero, Vidro, and Blum, their best 3 hitters. Trying to protect a 1-run lead. It was 6-0 Cardinals. Now it's 7-6 Cardinals in the 8th.
53rd appearance, but 16th appearance for the Cardinals. This is his numbers with the Redbirds. 2-1, ERA of 4.58. He has allowed 18 hits and 17+ innings, 9 walks, 15 strikeouts. Timlin had a little rough period where they got to him a few games, but he did toss 2 scoreless innings last Wednesday in Florida with 3 strikeouts. He had a 1 inning last Friday night where he fanned 2 in 1 inning, and 1 inning on Sunday where he's been very good. John Dunston now playing first base as part of the double switch. Vladimir Guerrero will be the first man that Timlin faces. And remember too, Joe, this is something that Eli Morero has never caught Timlin in a game. Or a lot of these, some of the new pitchers worked well with Christensen, but now let's see if he can do it with Timlin. Vladimir Guerrero got the first hit for the Expos. That was a knockout blow in the 6th inning for Britt Reams. The only hit that he allowed, but it was a 2-run double, giving him RBIs 100 and 101. He is the first Expo in their history to have 3 consecutive 100 RBI seasons.
Well, here we go. Timlin under the watchful eye of Britt Reams, wondering if tonight's a night he will get his first major league victory. That might be determined right here in the 8th. Guerrero's hit 32 home runs, and that caught somebody on the leg. I think it might have caught the umpire. Ball 1.
Timlin, when he was with Toronto, they had some of those series with Montreal. So he's faced Vladimir before, off the glove and maybe onto the shin guard of the umpire. And then with Baltimore in the last couple of years with interleague play.
Pop up at the plate, playable for Morero. Big out there, 1 away. Their biggest threat is gone.
Eli Morero, just like Mike Matheny. Watch where the pop-up goes up. You take the mask off, you locate the ball, and then you throw it so it hits the umpire. No, I mean you throw it so it...
Depending on what kind of a game the umpire's at.
Far enough away to where they can't stumble on it. Britt Reams had control of this game in the first 6 innings. Now he has to sit and watch. That's tough.
Vidro bounces it foul left side. So you've got Guerrero, now Vidro, and this guy's hitting .333 with 22 home runs.
And he's 0 for 4.
Can't overlook him.
Yeah, he's 0 for 4 in this series, and in the series before this. In Cincinnati, he was just 1 for 12.
The 0-1. 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Timlin. 1 ball, 1 strike. Needless to say, in the postseason, Timlin is going to be a major factor for the Cardinals in the late innings. Here's the 1-1. Pedro checked it, 2-1.
How about the pitch?
On deck is Blum, who has a 3-run home run tonight. Timlin on 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Dan Timlin throw a strike. Pedro waiting, and it's into center field, right at Edmonds. 2 out. 2 big outs picked up by Timlin. Coming up tonight at 11, the 11 p.m. Regional Sports Report. 30 minutes of nightly news completely dedicated to the home teams throughout the Midwest. Can the Cards have the best record in the National League? It's looking more and more like that's a possibility. How far without DeMarco, injured last night? The Rams offense compared to the defense, night and day last night. 2 out, nobody on for Blum, who has 9 home runs now thanks to a 3-run shot in his last at bat against Steck Schulte. Ball 1. Blum hitting .295. The 1-0 pitch from Timlin. Good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Throwing mid-90s with movement. That's the real key.
So that's the final now. The Braves win, the Mets win, and the Diamondbacks are 5 out in the wild card. The Mets stay 1 out in the NL East. Did he get the inning? 1, 2, 3. You bet. Polanco takes care of Blum. Great work by Timlin to go through the heart of this Montreal lineup. Britt Reams has done it with his arm, hoping for his first major league win, and Langford's played a key role tonight. Britt Reams sitting, waiting, watching, and knowing that he's 3 outs away defensively from his first major league win. It's up to the bullpen. It may very well be up to Mike Timlin for another 3 outs. Bottom of the 8th inning, Dunston will lead it off. Then Langford, then Renteria. See what Dunston can do, trying to get something started here in the 8th. First one from Kline, who had a good 7th inning. Strike 1. Kline went right through Drew, Edmonds, and Clark. Three left-handed batters, now 2 right-handers and 1 lefty. Strike 2 on Dunston, who's hitting .232, 10 home runs. Outfield plays Dunston to hit it the other way. The 0-2 pitch from Kline. He does hit it the other way into right center field, and that thing's going to skip, 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 and it's a double for Dunston leading off the 8th. 0-2 pitch, and Dunston hit it into right center.
Good piece of hitting there. He went down, a controlled swing, slices that ball, and it just scooted along there. Bradley cut it off before he got to the wall, but not before Dunston got the double.
Ray Langford has 2 home runs tonight. This 2-run shot back in the 3rd, and this leading off the 6th. for the Expos. It scored 5 to make it a one-run game, and that swing is the difference in this action right now.
Ray has scored 3 runs. Strickland, right-hander throwing. Ray walked in the first and came around to score. And the pair of home runs. So 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored.
Showing bunt, taking ball 1. Cards would be 10 games up in the division with a win here tonight. But again, I think the bigger race now is who ends up with the best record in the National League. Throw down to second. A better throw might have had Dunston. Barrett is having all kinds of trouble, and that came up and hit Jeff Blum in a bad spot.
And no place to hide out there. Dunston, that's a real tough running play for that runner at second base, especially when you see the batter kind of bunt at the ball. You try and get a good jump, and you try and get there. He's trying to replace his divots. You kind of feel helpless, you know, if he bunts it hard and it's right at somebody, they're trying to get you at third base. So sometimes when you see that fake, the ball misses the bat, you know, you're caught as a runner.
1-2 on Langford, who's set up for the strikeout.
Not something Ray has been asked to do many times, but off a tough left-hander, if you can get that bunt down and get Dunston over to third base with only 1 out, you like your chance to pick up another easy run.
Cards up by a run in the bottom of the 8th. 1-2 pitch. Instead, Kline steps off. Two. Here's a 2-2. See if Ray can put it in play. Waited on it. Still 2-2. This figures to be the last hitter of the night for Kline.
Kline is from Pennsylvania through and through. Born there, lives there. Kind of looks like a blue-collar worker, doesn't he?
Yep. Ring around the collar worker. So that hat is had it.
Well, you know, a lot of guys are a little superstitious. The one they start out with spring training or the one they start out in the season, they don't want a new one. And I think that's Kline's. Might have been the one he had last year, though.
(3-2) to Langford. Got him on the outside corner, and Ray would argue that that was too far outside. 1 out. Renteria will not face Kline.
He's retired all 4 of the left-handed batters, and that was questionable outside, and 3 of them by strikeout. Now Felipe with Renteria coming up, maybe making a pitching change here.
So Strickland will come out of the bullpen. Kline will head into the showers. And another pitching change. 5th pitch of the night for Montreal. It's Strickland to deal with Renteria. It's a jacket or sweater night here at the ballpark. Probably right around 70, maybe a little below. And Strickland Scott Strickland, who has an ERA of 3.89, takes over for Montreal.
Missed considerable time with shoulder tendonitis. Actually pitching a lot better on the road. Strickland. ERA under 4, 4 saves, appearing 38th time. He was at Jupiter, Harrisburg, Ottawa, and Montreal last year, so he went all the way from A-ball, AA, AAA to the major leagues.
Here's Renteria with a runner at second, 1 out now. Dunston a leadoff double, then Langford struck out, and now Edgar takes a fastball strike. Oh, and 1 the count, runner at second, 1 out. Breaking ball misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Joe Buck and Al Roboski with you from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. This is Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Net. We're in the 8th inning, 7-6. The Cardinals lead. They've led throughout. They got 4 in the first, 2 in the third, 1 in the 6th. Langford 2 home runs tonight. As Renteria comes up empty, strike 2.
A couple breaking balls and a fastball from Strickland. Really wraps his breaking ball. And Joe, they playing Renteria around to right. Huge gap between left and center.
One-two pitch. Throws the bat after it. The bat ends up on the mound, and the ball ends up back here.
Look at Dunston. Dunston retrieves the bat from second base runner. And he had to take a step to the side because he was going to throw it right at the catcher. It's always hustling, isn't he?
Great to have around. His body, the shape that he is in, is phenomenal.
You know, he made a tremendous hustling play when we were in Montreal, and the next day Felipe Alou said he pointed it out to his team. He said, look at that guy. You should all wish you hustle on the diamond as well as he does.
You can see him turn around and check the positioning of the outfielders. 2-2 on Renteria. Good base runners do that before every pitch. Get an idea of where the defense is playing around him, and on a ball hit to the outfield, he knows who's close to it. Oh, they called that strike 3 over the inside corner. Renteria's not happy about it. He walks between the catcher Barrett and the umpire. That's 2 out. And the batter will be Thomas Howard to bat for Eli Marrero.
He doesn't often argue up there. An interesting strike zone tonight. Brad Arnsberg, pitching coach, comes out now with Thomas Howard, the pinch hitter.
Howard will bat for Marrero. And it's Paquette, the next scheduled hitter. It appears as if the Cardinals, well, it's a certainty that the Cardinals will have to ask Mike Matheny to go catch an inning here, with Marrero being lifted for the pinch hitter, and Howard is classic first ball swinger.
You know, I am sure that it would be Matheny, but Hernandez has been activated, I believe, because he was on the roster in the clubhouse. Strickland studied criminology for 3 years at the University of Mexico. During the 98-99 offseason, was substitute teacher at the Kline School District on the north side of Houston. And he worked for the Tomball Sports Medicine Clinic, teaching pitching and infield.
Tomball, Texas. Runner at second, 2 out. Here is Howard. Ball 1.
You can't go to Texas without having your hobbies golf, hunting, and fishing.
It's not always in that order, but they are all usually there. Time called as Barrett will go through the signs again. The Expos in the 9th inning will have the pitcher's spot, then Barrett, then Seginol. 2-0 on Howard, and they certainly are not in a position where they have to groove one to him with Paquette, the right-handed batter, next.
We're seeing Mike Matheny talking with Timlin how to close out the night. All I know, Joe, is I wouldn't mind having an extra insurance run or two with Seginol looming.
I don't like the thought of him either. Runner at second, 2 out, 3 balls, no strikes on Howard. Do they give him anything to hit? Nope. Except for Paquette, they just pitched around Thomas Howard. Here's Paquette. Clutch hitting, that's what we came on the air talking about tonight. We might be going off the air talking about it. Especially if Paquette can do something here to add to what is now just a 1-run 8th inning lead.
Greg did not start tonight, but he had started the 8 pass games, started those. You think he's got a little better chance to see where the strike zone is. He did not take a good swing at the first pitch.
Oh, and 1 the count after Paquette went after that first pitch from Strickland.
He's looking for a fastball, and he gets a little slider.
Up and hittable, but he fouled it back.
Yeah, he got another one up there, and Strickland got away with it, but Barrett's going to come out there and say, wait a minute now. See, this one doesn't sit right up in the strike zone for him. Yeah, he started backing up a little bit. It was just high enough that it became effective.
2 on, 2 out.
Fastball in.
Have to expect the slider away.
Well, I mean, the way people are so automatic now, I would do that. But now he's going to set up in, so it's fastball.
And it's still 1 and 2.
Coxey. Jeff Cox, he kind of a career minor leaguer there for a long time, and then managed in the minor league system. Good organizational guy. Now the slider.
And hit in the air to left field for Wilton Guerrero. And he hauls it in to end the inning. Guerrero will lead it off in the 9th inning. 7-6 Cardinals. Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net was brought to you by Budweiser. Brewed to deliver the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Mike Timlin is back to the hill. He went through the heart of this order. Vladimir Guerrero, Jose Vidro, and Jeff Blum. 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. And here in the 9th inning, it will be Wilton Guerrero, Michael Barrett, and Fernando Seginol. It won't be easy here in the 9th inning either.
He had 11 saves with Baltimore before he got to the Cardinals. He had 27 saves last year. Talking about Timlin. Last last thing he wants to do is walk the leadoff man.
Wilton Guerrero hitting .285 just took over in left field. And he leads it off in the 9th inning. 7-6 St. Louis. They've led throughout. And strike one. Mike Matheny doing the catching now. Here's an 0-1 delivery. Strike two. Cardinals have Alan Benes getting loose. Allen's had a tough time finding his way onto the mound when it counts. He has been seldom used out of the bullpen here lately. Here's the 0-2 from Timlin to Wilton Guerrero. Got him, and he flew him away. Mid-90s, and Wilton is gone, 1 out. The National Sports Report tonight. Bobby Labonte interview. Overbearing tennis fathers, Randy Johnson against Tom Glavine. That's tonight. The National Sports Report featuring news, opinions, and highlights from a fresh perspective. That's next. 1 out, nobody on. Britt Reams watching, wondering if this is going to be his first major league win. Ball 1 high.
Timlin is pumped. Just a question of controlling that emotion.
That's down the right field line, slicing. It's foul. Just foul as Barrett couldn't get around on it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Ready to congratulate Reams with 2 more outs.
Here comes a 1-1 pitch to Michael Barrett with 1 out. Breaking ball. Wow, just missed again. Some plate umpires had a rough night.
I can say he's been consistent for both sides.
All over the place.
Very small. And then every now and then one comes out of nowhere.
How about that pitch? 2-2.
Joe, it just seems from here, you know, that just has terrific downward movement.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. 9th inning. Michael Barrett trying to get something going for the Expos. Who wants it? Renteria, gloves, throws, got him. Good play. 2 out.
Those were 2 power sinkers the last 2 pitches.
Well, the difference in this game right now is Ray Langford's 2nd home run of the night. And it is our Budweiser play of the game that happened in the bottom of the 6th. Leading off, first pitch. Budweiser brewed to deliver the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's Seganol, who's homered tonight. Wow, big swing, big pitch, strike 1.
Now this guy is power against power. This is what it's all about, folks. This is old-fashioned baseball, a 1-run game, and go down to that 27th out with a home run threat at the plate. He had 23 home runs last year. Kind of hard to believe that he was sent down. He was in the minor leagues, 5 at the major league level.
High heat, strike 2.
There are holes in his swing. And one thing is to get him to chase the ball up out of the strike zone.
Timlin with a big night. He's faced 5, retired 5, trying to save it. Trying to save the first major league win for Britt Reams. Two pitch. Got it. First National League save for Timlin. First major league win for Britt Reams. in sync. Timlin did the work on the mound, and he had one very interested observer, Britt Reams, watching in the dugout.
Yeah, 0-2. He wasn't taking any chances. He just exploded this ball right there. And you talk an explosion of emotion. Britt Reams waited a long time. Remember 97 and 98. He was out those years with Tommy John surgery. He's battled all the way back. And now he has his first Major League win, and he earned it.
Yeah, I was going to say, he deserved to win here tonight. Timlin gets his first save as a Cardinal, and Britt Reams his first big league win. Congratulations to Britt Reams, and the Cardinals now have a 10-game lead in the division as they beat the Montreal Expos and have their 80th win of the season. The Cardinals come up with 4 in the first and end up out in front all night over the Montreal Expos. Win it a final of 7-6. Our next Cardinal telecast tomorrow night. Cardinals and Expos, game 3 of this 4-game set. 6:30 with Cardinals tonight. Copyrighted telecast has been an exclusive presentation of Fox Sports Net in association with Bud Sports. Now we take you to the Fox Network Center for the National Sports Report. Good night.